time since 1956-57 under Peter May. England win in Cape Town.
We've had an unbelievable 12th man with us this week. The crowd have they've been outstanding. It's been such a great atmosphere. It's almost felt like a home game.
25 years ago, on my first tour of Australia as captain, a small group of England supporters were christened the Barmy Army by the local media because they were supporting such a hopeless rabble. Since then, in the 25 years that have followed, they've become the most recognisable group of supporters in the game.
Thanks to all the British supporters out here.
Well, in the 25 years since the Barmy Army was founded, we've probably got a little bit older. We've been through some highs and lows. Just let's cast our minds back to that first tour, 1994-5 tour of Australia. I was captain. How did the Barmy Army come about?
Came about, as you'll know, on that tour, Mike. We didn't start off very well, did we? We lost in Brisbane. I remember Brisbane very early on when we were chasing 500 and something, and we got to 30 for naught, all jumping up and down when Stewie hit one of his fours and thinking this is it. And then obviously the normal happens, chasing 500, as we know, in Brisbane. It's not going to happen. The optimism went to Melbourne, the Shane Warne hat-trick, 2-0 down. But in Sydney we got thrown together. The Sydney Hill. Very much an area where the England fans are all thrown together. But yeah, went to Adelaide, and the guys that had spent all that money and been there supporting you, we decided to do our own shirts with Atherton's Barmy Army on one side. I don't think we ever asked your permission for that, but we did it anyway. With the
image
union,
rights, I need image rights.
Yeah, image rights, so you can have some backdated. With the union flag underneath it, and then our nickname on there, and we did 100. But then everybody else that started arriving, there's a massive expat community, as you know, in Adelaide and then in Perth, which was the next test. So lots of people saw the shirt and they wanted it. So there was a T-shirt shop called T-Shirt City in Hindley Street in Adelaide. He did 100 for the originals with the nickname, and we ended up selling we did 3,000, printed 3,000 shirts.
The difference of cultural opinion there, I think.
And from there, it's rather gathered steam, and you've been on every England tour since, supporting the team.
Absolutely.
Through thick and thin. I mean, lots of ups and downs along the way.
Absolutely, no. I mean, and then you know, the 95-6 tour, as you'll remember, I've waited 24 years to say well batted, by the way. So the Wanderers is still, to me, one of the most amazing things, because these guys who we can hear in the background now, they weren't singing during that period. They were leaving in their tens, and it was great to sit there and watch them all leave the ground. And then,
but something that started quite informally and now has become a formal business.
So BarmyArmy.com is the official website, and then we have a travel company, Barmy Travel. So people that don't want to organise their own trip, they can come with us, and they obviously pay a margin for that, and they come away with Barmy Travel. But equally, Chris and the team will encourage people to go independently, join the Barmy Army, £35 a year. And you'll get tickets at home for reunions everywhere other than Lord's. And when you go away, we can also offer advice to people that don't want, to pay that extra money to us to organise. So I would say, as you know, there's 3,000-4,000 Barmy Army here now. About 20% of that are on the Barmy Travel package, and the other independents are very much part of the Barmy Army, and we do a lot of the singing with the new boys on the travel company.
Joe Root, England captain, Chris Millard, MD, managing director of the Barmy Army. How do you two know each other?
We grew up together, really, in the same part of Sheffield, and it's quite amazing, really, to now be both where we are.
Well, I'll ask you about him. Has he got the right qualities for a managing director?
He's certainly not got the right qualities to play professional cricket. I think that's why he's ended up where he is. But
I've just been unlucky.
Let me ask you about him. Has he got the right qualities to be England captain?
Absolutely. Absolutely. No better man.
What's the Barmy Army's favourite destination, would you say?
This would be close. Definitely, this would be close.
It's cheap for one.
It's cheap. It's got the scenery. It's got the weather, and it's normally quite a long tour, so you're away for a good length of time in the winter. But the Australia tour is what made us who we are back in '94, '95, and I think building from the Australia tour and going to the smaller places like New Zealand and Bangladesh and India, where it's a bit tougher maybe on the people, but they do it for the love of the game and also for the love of the England team and wanting them to do well, and that's why they travel everywhere in the world. So there's the favourite, probably this one, and then the Caribbean, with Australia leading the way for the big numbers.
For 25 years since the Barmy Army started, it's always been part of the ethos. Go out on tour, have a good time, enjoy the cricket, support the England cricket team, but there's so much opportunity and scope to help local charities. So one of my first tours was in Sri Lanka, and that was helping a local orphanage. It varies from place to place. This time we've been looking at like nature conservation nearby.
It's like one big happy family. You know, sometimes we don't see each other so much back home in the UK, but when it's cold and wintry, we pop down to Sri Lanka or the Windies or down here, and it's just like we've never, gone apart. And we sing our songs, we support the team through thick and thin. It's a great tour, it's a great crowd. It got a bit crazy. I've been lucky to follow England. Well, last year was a bit better for us, and I just thought I'd take the waistcoat along for a bit of a laugh. Gary Lineker saw us on the telly, and it went a bit bonkers for that week, doing a few interviews. I've taken it on a couple of cricket tours. I've left it at home this time. I'm going to save it for the Euros now. Hopefully Gareth and the guys can bring it home. We've got a good chance this time, haven't we?
As you well know, when you're on away tours, and it has been like this for years, and increasingly more so, it's just phenomenal to see so many people travel all parts of the world.
He's got in! Matthew Hogarth's got a hat-trick! England in the ascendant yet again. What a magic moment for Matthew Hogarth.
Down the track, straight down the ground. He can't get there. It's a marvellous, marvellous innings from Graham Thorpe. A masterful innings. Listen to this ovation.
It can give you a huge lift, especially with home advantage being so significant now in Test cricket. I think when you've got that extra bit of support, that extra bit of lift every now and again is massive, and credit to these guys and everyone else really for doing that and making that possible.
And you're the only England captain, I think, that I've seen who genuinely tries to get the Barmy Army going. I've seen you from time to time when things are a bit flat and you're searching for a wicket and a bit of inspiration. You're always trying to get the crowd going.
And he's trying as hard as he can, get in behind it. The fact that we can do that route, it just illustrates how much England support there is here today, how much there's been throughout this Test match. It's like they're playing at home.
Well, it definitely helps some of the players, and those little 1%ers can make it sounds strange, but can make a big difference.
The support we receive is absolutely incredible. I actually sat with Jimmy after the end of day 2 saying how good were the Barmy Army in that session, and him saying, he said, you don't understand as a bowler how much that gives your legs, the support he gets. So yeah, it's been fantastic here. It does feel like a home game, and they really make it count.
I think that Australia tour under my captaincy, I think not so much it sticks in my mind throughout, but I do remember at the end of that tour we had that win in Sydney where Andrew Caddick bowled them out, and I asked the team to do a lap of honour. I think we'd lost the series 3-1, 4-1 like we normally do, so it wasn't a lap of honour as to say look how good we are. It was a lap of honour to say we've really let you down on this trip. We've won this last game at Sydney and you stood by us all the way through, and we just want to go around and show our appreciation to them.
And have a listen to this. Quite extraordinary scenes here at the SCG. These fans have been chanting and singing their way all the way through this Ashes series. Their numbers have grown and grown and grown. They even have a group photograph to record this memorable moment.
When you are down and you're not feeling like the next wicket's coming along, and you see them and they're standing there in the heat and they've paid their hard-earned cash, not just the Barmy Army, I'll be perfectly honest, but all the tour groups and everyone that travel and support us away from home. At times you're sort of thinking this game's going away from them, and you still hear their chants. You know, I was England captain for 4 or 5 years, and to hear Nasser Hussain's Barmy Army time after time after time, when at times, to be honest, I'd let them down, whether it be Brisbane or wherever, various occasions around the world, and they're still, when Australia are 400 for 2 at Brisbane or whatever, they are still singing Nasser Hussain's Barmy Army. If that doesn't inspire you, nothing will. Well, they had the Nasser Hussain's Barmy Army, and they had Nasser Hussain, everyone knows his name, it's Nasser Hussain, which they probably sung a little bit better than that.
You've got a songbook for every player. You have to kind of think on your feet quite quickly, because captain here churns through his players.
I often ask for a heads up, but he never gives me one.
No, you told me that you were there when he was practising his toss before his first game as England captain. Is that right?
In the landmark, yeah, absolutely. We went for some sushi, and then I asked him if he'd practiced the coin toss or not.
Can't remember that.
Have fun, be respectful, enjoy the surroundings, know how lucky you are to be here. I think everyone knows that. You really do get a sense of that when you talk to people and you say good morning. Everyone's got a smile on their face. Everyone looks out for each other. It's grown in numbers all the time. Welcome new faces in. Yeah, it's really, really good place to be. I've loved it. You know, the last couple of years that I've sort of been a part of the Barmy Army, it's been brilliant.
Winning away in Australia, you know, I've watched 7 or 8 tours, and that 10-11 was unbelievable. Straussy had the right blend of people, everything go right, no injuries, etc., that, you know, everyone's had. You had that in 94-5. I remember the 2002-3 that Nasser had to deal with as well as captain. Everything went right on that trip, and we didn't just win, we absolutely railroaded them. I call that, you know, Boxing Day is the best day. It's the best day's cricket I've ever seen, and probably never to be repeated. But
well, it's been a long road, 25 years. The T-shirt says England's Barmy Army, but really it's Atherton's Barmy Army, the original and best.